इमेजिन नहीं कर सकता कि उस सिचुएशन में कॉलेज जाएं और लेक्चर थिएटर में लेक्चर्स अटेंड करें। ऑल्दो वी हैव बीन डूइंग इट, मतलब ऐसी बात नहीं है, हम सारा साल ही करते रहते हैं, हर मतलब एवरी ईयर वी गो थ्रू दिस एक्सरसाइज। बट इस दफा ड्यू टू सर्टेन अवॉइडेबल सर्कमस्टांसेस कहना चाहिए, वी हैव टू बी एट होम। सो उसका बेनिफिट उठाने की जरूरत है ना, कि इफ यू हैव बीन गिवन द अपॉर्चुनिटी कि आप लोग घर बैठे हुए हैं, तो then you should be very vigilant और very careful about utilizing your time, ताकि आप वो टाइम अपना जो है वो इस्तेमाल कर लो अपनी पढ़ाई के लिए। अब वायरोलॉजी का टेस्ट आप लोगों का हो गया, और अगर मैं आपसे पूछूंगी तो एवरीबडी वुड से कि इट वाज वेरी गुड, राइट? बहुत अच्छा था, हमने बहुत अच्छा किया। हाउ मेनी एग्री विद दिस? सबका बहुत अच्छा हुआ होगा। अगर क्लास में होते तो सब लोग यही कहते कि जी बहुत अच्छा हुआ है ना। और जो मैंने अभी तक कुछ पेपर्स ग्रेड किए हैं उसमें आई वॉज जस्ट गोइंग थ्रू देम, और मैं ये चीज़ रियलाइज कर रही थी कि आप लोगों को अगर कोई फीडबैक देते हैं, कोई पॉइंटर्स देते हैं, जैसे हमारा फेसबुक का पेज है उसके ऊपर ऑफन मतलब आपको मैं कोई ना कोई चीज़ SEQs में कंफ्यूजन इस वजह से थी रिगार्डिंग द डायग्नोसिस एंड व्हाट टू राइट, बिकॉज यू डिड नॉट हैव एनी क्लियर कॉन्सेप्ट्स। ठीक है ना? अब एंड द सेकंड थिंग व्हिच यू डू इज आप शाज़मीन यू आस्क्ड मी द क्वेश्चन अबाउट हेपेटाइटिस के उसके मार्कर्स के बारे में। आई डोंट नो हाउ यू अटेम्प्टेड द क्वेश्चन, बट दैट क्वेश्चन वाज आंसर वाज देयर फॉर एवरीबॉडी। ठीक है ना? सो अगर उसी में से आपको एक उसी इत्तेफाक से उसी पोर्शन में से इफ यू हैड बीन आस्क्ड द क्वेश्चन, तो वो क्वेश्चन तो आपका 2.5 में से 2.5 मार्क्स का होना चाहिए था। बट आई डोंट नो, you people either don't look at the questions over there or you ignore them. So वहाँ पे जो चीज़ लिखी जाती है that indicates कि it's a very important aspect of what you are studying, and जो चीज़ आपको नहीं समझ आई उसको explain करने के लिए वहाँ पे लिखी जाती है, and you are free to ask any questions at that forum. So in future I hope कि आप इस चीज़ को follow करोगे। So and definitely मतलब definitely it's going to give you a better opportunity to do much better। मतलब अगर आपने वो थोड़ा सा पढ़ लिया होता, आपके concepts about the hepatitis B markers identify हो जाते, you would have been more clear। और अगर आपको उसमें से कुछ चीज़ पर समझ नहीं आ रही होती तो you could have re-asked me the question and I would have explained it again to you on that forum। सो वो कॉन्सेप्ट्स आपके क्लियर हो जाते हैं, कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर हो जाते हैं तो क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करना आपका आसान हो जाता है। इट वाज अ वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन। उसमें आपने 4-5 मार्कर्स लिखने थे, हेपेटाइटिस बी सरफेस एंटीजन, बी एंटीबॉडी, कोर एंटीजन, ई एंटीजन, एंड देन यू हैड टू एक्सप्लेन ऑल दोज थिंग्स। दो दो लाइनों में आपने उसका सिग्निफिकेंस ऐड करनी थी कि व्हाट डज द हेपेटाइटिस बी सरफेस एंटीजन सिग्निफाई, एंड उसकी अगर आईजीएम लेवल्स हैं तो वो क्या सिग्निफाई करते हैं, आईजीजी एंटीबॉडी लेवल्स हैं, हेपेटाइटिस बी सरफेस एंटीबॉडी लेवल्स हैं, और वो आईजीएम क्या सिग्निफाई करते हैं, आईजीजी क्या सिग्निफाई करते हैं, व्हाट इज द टाइम पीरियड व्हेन दे आर गोइंग टू अपीयर। So it wasn't a very difficult question. Similarly, जो कोरोना वायरस पे क्वेश्चन था, I asked you particularly this time कि जब भी कोई एक कॉमन इन्फेक्शन चल रही होती है एक एरिया में, it is and you are having an exam, generally you are asked a question about that। जैसे एग्जाम्पल भी मैंने आपको दिया था कि जब डेंगू था तो डेंगू का पेपर में क्वेश्चन जरूर आया था। सिमिलरली यू शुड हैव एक्सपेक्टेड कि कोरोना के ऊपर आपको क्वेश्चन आएगा, एंड इट वाज द सिंपलेस्ट क्वेश्चन। उसमें आपने स्प्रेड उसका बताना है किस तरह से। आजकल तो एवरी forum, if you see on the TV, if you see on the social media, everywhere they are giving you the answer to that question कि spread कैसे होता है। कफिंग है, स्नीजिंग है, हैंड्स है, सर्फेसेस है, मतलब 4-5 पॉइंट्स है उन्होंने जो एक्सप्लेन किए हुए थे। डिस्टेंस है, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग उसमें आपने ऐड करनी थी कि स्नीजिंग एंड कफिंग, इफ इट्स अ डिस्टेंस ऑफ दिस मच देन इट इज गोइंग टू स्प्रेड, इफ इट इज गोइंग टू बी लेस देन दिस मच इट इज गोइंग टू be it is going to be more transmissible as compared if you are at a distance of 6 feet. So that is what was asked regarding the question of how does it spread. ये नहीं पूछा गया था कि अगर वो आपकी इंटेस्टाइन आपकी सॉरी आपकी थ्रोट में चला जाता तो उसके बाद वो सेल्स में जाके क्या करते हैं और वहां पे वो कौन सी रेप्लिकेशन करता है. दैट इंडिकेट्स यू डू नॉट अंडरस्टैंड द क्वेश्चन. दैट सिंपली इंडिकेट्स आपको उसका आंसर नहीं आता तो आपने उस पेज को फिल करने के लिए उसकी रेप्लिकेशन साइकिल लिख दी जो कि हर वायरस की एक ही होती है. बट दैट वाजंट आस्क्ड. और जो उसका सेकंड डायग्नोस्टिक पॉइंट था वो तो सिंपल सा था कि पीसीआर से आजकल हो रहा है. अगर पीसीआर के अलावा आपने एंटीबॉडी टेस्ट भी लिख दिया तो ओके फाइन, बट अगर आपने खाली पीसीआर भी लिख दिया है सो यू गेट यू वुड हैव गॉटन फुल मार्क्स फॉर दैट पार्ट. सिमिलरली जो आपका रेबीज का क्वेश्चन था वो आपने उसकी डायग्नोसिस तो आप सब लोगों ने लिख दी कि उसका फ्लोरेसेंट एंटीबॉडी टेस्ट करना है या पीसीआर करना है, बट नन ऑफ यू were able to attempt the question about how do you prevent it. Pre-immunization and pre-exposure and post-exposure immunization is not the answer. उसके अगर आप किताब जाके देखोगे तो उसके अंदर relevant 3-4 points लिखे हुए हैं कि the dog is if there is a threat of exposure तो आपने क्या करना है और अगर exposure हो जाता है तो wound cleaning करनी है और उसके बाद आपने क्या क्या करना है. So that was what was required over there. And finally जो क्वेश्चन आपका varicella वाला था उसमें varicella लिखना काफी नहीं था because varicella is a virus which causes a number of infections. उसमें आपने चिकन पॉक्स का क्वेश्चन का आंसर चिकन पॉक्स लिखना था नंबर 1 एंड यू जस्ट हैड टू राइट चिकन पॉक्स. उसमें और डिटेल्स लिखने की कोई जरूरत नहीं थी. सेकेंडली you were asked about a latent infection. अब latent infection में दो चीजें होती हैं. Number one is that there has been an initial infection, and number two the virus goes and or which kind could be mild or asymptomatic, and then the virus goes and settles down in a certain area of the body where it is not where it is sort of inactive, and it is also protected from the outside environment so that the immune system cannot get to it. But when the immune system of that individual, due to any reason, whether it is cancer chemotherapy, whether it is cancer, whether it is diabetes mellitus, if there is any stress, whatever, you needed to write down a few pointers like that. This virus can become active again and cause the disease. खाली आधा ये लिखना कि जी वो जाके बैठ जाते हैं और वो इनएक्टिव हो जाता है या वो जाके मतलब लेटेंट दैट इज मतलब दैट इज जस्ट पार्ट ऑफ द फॉर द आंसर फॉर दैट. एंड द सेकंड कंपोनेंट वाज द ट्रांसमिशन एज वेल एज द पैथोजेनेसिस. चिकन पॉक्स में पैथोजेनेसिस थी कि नहीं थी? चिकन पॉक्स में और क्या था? पैथोजेनेसिस उसकी अगेन जो उसकी स्प्रेड जो है दैट इज रेस्पिरेटरी ड्रॉपलेट्स और उसकी जो स्किन की पस्ट्यूल्स हैं उसमें जो फ्लूइड होता है अगर वो फ्लूइड जो है वो इफ इट गेट्स ऑन योर हैंड्स और समवेयर इन योर बॉडी आप उसको टच करते हैं अपने हैंड से एंड देन यू टच योर ओन बॉडी तो देन द वायरस कैन बी ट्रांसमिटेड फ्रॉम वन पर्सन टू द अदर. और सेकेंडली इज द रेस्पिरेटरी ड्रॉपलेट्स. और फिर उसके बाद उसकी आगे से आई थिंक इट वाज द पैथोजेनेसिस इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग तो उसने आपने उसमें उसकी पैथोजेनेसिस लिखनी थी. क्वेश्चंस वर वेरी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. द ओनली थिंग वाज दैट कि आपको आपने उसको सब्जेक्ट मैटर को प्रॉपर्ली अगर आपने उसको इफ यू हैड गॉन थ्रू द सब्जेक्ट मैटर और नेचुरली इट वाज अ लेंथी portion of your curriculum, so it was difficult, I can understand that, but जो ये सारी के सारे क्वेश्चन थे all of them were important questions. इसमें से कोई भी आपका क्वेश्चन ऐसा नहीं था which was which you can say was unimportant or which you could say कि जी it was a very मतलब ये चिकन पॉक्स हो गया, रेबीज हो गया, हेपेटाइटिस हो गया, these are very important MCQ questions in your final exams. So they were the questions, and coronavirus, they were the questions जो कि आपको you expect them to come in your final prof exam. So this was about the virology. If you have any other questions regarding it, please ask on the forum. If you have any questions regarding parasitology, which is now either parasitology hoga, which is probably going to be your next test, parasitology hoga ya hemodynamics hoga, I will look that up and let you know. No, slideshow is just going to start. ठीक है? चलो, let's start with the topic for today, and that is parasitology. Last time we had discussed the first nematode, that was the Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides, as I told you previously, it's also known as the roundworm, or it's a very common worm, especially in children. Adults may be होता है, but especially in children. And the most important thing about it was the life cycle. Just life cycle में it goes into the it is transmitted through the fecal-oral route. The eggs, they are then ingested through the contaminated food and water. They go into the intestines. This is the first entry into the intestines. Then they enter into the portal circulation, go through the portal circulation into the lungs, and in the lungs they develop the larvae. They are going to develop into for some time, and once they have reached a certain stage, then they are going to break through the alveolar walls, go into the alveolar through the alveolar walls. They're going to go break through, and then they're going to go into the bronchi and bronchioles, bronchi, then the bronchus, and then they are going to come up into the throat. From the throat, they are then going to go down the esophagus, and then they are going to go again into the intestines. That would be the second entry of the Ascaris into the intestines, and then the male and the female adult worms, they are going to be formed, and these are then going to mate, and the female is then going to start producing the eggs. Why I've repeated this? Because as we go ahead, in case of the um, uh, nematodes, they are one or two other nematodes which have a similar life cycle. So if you can remember one life cycle, you can apply it to one or two with a few variations. So the second important worm which we are going to study is the Enterobius vermicularis, and this is also a very common cause of parasitic infections in children. Enterobius vermicularis disease जो produce करता है, that is known as enterobiasis, and common जो इसका नाम है वो pinworm है. Again, like the other nematodes, it has a worldwide distribution. It is more common in children, especially in school going and in preschool children who are in crowded conditions, whether it's within the family या फिर ये कि daycare centers में जा रहे हैं, वो वाली situations where more than a few children are together. Then it is more common in temperate tropical areas, but it's again, you will see the distribution of this parasite. If somebody asks you, you can easily say it has a worldwide distribution. Habitat is the adult for is found in the lumen of the cecum and the appendix. So again, it's the large intestine, and transmission is through the fecal-oral route, and man is the only host. In nematodes, the definitive host is always the man. So in this case, again, we have only the man, as in case of Ascaris, the only host which is present. And in case of Enterobius, the eggs are transferred directly from the anal region to the mouth through the contaminated fingers. This is one mode of transmission when the child itches the buttock area, and because the worms are present over there and they are crawling on that area, so that crawling causes itching. The child itches at that itches that on that area, and then without washing naturally, that the fingers, they can go to the mouth, and when they go to the mouth, then they can be ingested and cause an infection. And number two is the retroinfection. What is retroinfection? Retroinfection means that the worms, which the eggs which have been laid on the anal area, on the outside of the anal area, on the buttock region, those eggs can hatch. When the larvae, they are produced, they are not they are going to travel back into the anus, and then they are going to go up in from the anus into the intestines. So this is retroinfection. Retro means backward. So this infection occurs when they travel back from the buttock area up into the intestine. That is referred to as retroinfection. So transmission, person to person, can also occur. The number one, I've already told you, that is the direct auto infection of an individual. Secondly, it can also transfer from one person to the other. For example, a child who is having that infection, the mother or any other person who is handling the contaminated clothes or bed linens, they can become contaminated. Or when you are changing the sheets, or when you are changing the clothes, these eggs, they can be transferred onto various surfaces. And these surfaces, for example, the carpet, the curtains, or any rugs which are lying around, or any toys, excuse me, they can these eggs, they can land on these things. And when these toys or these things, they are being utilized, then they can be transferred from them onto the fingers, onto the hands, and then onto the mouth. Small number of eggs, they may become an airborne, they can be inhaled. And then once they are inhaled, they go into the throat, and then from the throat they go down into the esophagus and into the intestines. And then the pathway is the same as if you have a fecal-oral route of transmission. Morphology is through the, okay, morphology is female, as we've discussed before. It is longer as compared to the male, and its posterior end is extremely the posterior extremity, it is long, tapering, and it is finely pointed. In case of the male, it is curved, and this distinguishes the two species from each other. Eggs, these are a wet preparation. A stool sample has been just put onto the slide, added a drop of normal saline, and with a cover slip, it is being examined under the microscope. The eggs, they are ovoid in shape. If you can see, they are D-shaped. They are not round. They are not typically oval. They are flat on one side, and they have this larva inside it, which is visible. Coming to the life cycle. Life cycle starts with the ingestion of the embryonated eggs inside the food or the water. Once these eggs, they are ingested, they are going to go down the esophagus, stomach, and finally they reach the small intestine. In the small intestine, these eggs are going to hatch, and the larvae which were present inside, which have developed during this passage from the eggs, they are going to hatch. These larvae then start traveling down the small intestine into the large intestine, and from the large intestine in the cecum you would find the formation of these, or the transformation of these larval forms into the adult male and females. Then the adult male and females, they are going to mate, and once the mating has taken place, the female is then going to come out of this anal canal, and this happens during the night, because probably during the night the child is sleeping or the adult is sleeping, there is no movement, there is no and it's a peaceful and quiet environment. Probably that is the reason the female migrates to the anal region and then onto the buttocks during the night, and it lays eggs at that time. These eggs, they are going to be now deposited onto the buttock area and in the perianal folds. Then the larvae inside the eggs, they are going to mature, and this is going to take about 4 to 6 hours. And this all happens during the night. So in the morning, due to the itching, due to the presence of that worm, it is going to, and these are very, very small worms. I'll just show you the picture. They are so small, they will not be visible to the naked eye. So you cannot, if you are itching, you cannot see the worms on your fingers or following the ingestion of the infective eggs, the larvae, they hatch in the small intestine. The adults, they are going to establish themselves in the colon, and the time interval from the ingestion of the eggs to the oviposition by the adult females is about 1 month. So if a child ingests the eggs on, say, for example, 1st of July, then it is going to be about 30th of July before the female is mature enough, or the mating has taken place, to for it to go and start laying the eggs. So it's about 1 month span for the development of the larvae into the adult female forms and the reproductive cycle to have taken place. Then the lifespan of the adults is about 2 months, and the gravid females, it contains more than 10,000 eggs, and it is going to crawl on the skin of the perianal area and deposit these eggs on various areas of the buttock. Any questions till this point? Any questions? Okay, I ask you this so that I also know that the net is working properly and everything is working as required, because last time जैसे वो slides नहीं आगे हो रही थी. So my aim in basically asking you these questions is that you are also alert and I'm also alert. Okay, everything is going fine. So the eggs, they are deposited onto the perianal skin because they require an oxygenated and a moist environment which is provided in that area, and because inside you do not have oxygen, or oxygen is present in, it's an anaerobic condition in the guts. So on the perianal area, it receives the oxygens, it receives the moisture, and it develops within 4 to 6 hours to become infective. Retroinfection or the migration of newly hatched larvae from the anal canal back into the rectum can also occur, as we've discussed before. Clinical features, frequently it's an asymptomatic infection, but most typical feature is the perianal pruritus. Pruritus means itching, especially at night, and during that itching it can lead to excoriations. Now what is excoriation? Excoriation, जब आप अपनी स्किन को खुजाते हो तो उधर से स्किन थोड़ी सी या उसके सेल्स जो हैं वो उधर से उतरने शुरू हो जाते हैं, एंड द स्किन बिकम्स रॉ एट दैट एरिया. इस चीज को एक्सकोरिएशन कहते हैं, एंड दिस कैन बिकम infected with bacteria which are present in that area. Then there can be perineal and vaginal irritation because because the adult female is migrating in that area, and because of the itching there is going to be insomnia and restlessness. Naturally जब constantly बच्चा itch कर रहा होगा और constantly उसकी वो एक feeling होगी तो उसकी जो नींद है वो disturb होगी, and the patient is going to complain कि जी मैंने रात भर में सोया नहीं. Complications which can occur include anorexia, irritability, abdominal pain. Lekin one complication which may occur occasionally is that in case of females, or in case of females, the female genital tract can these worms can go into the female genital tract and they can cause vulvovaginitis and pelvic granuloma, or peritoneal granulomas can occur in both males as well as females. Coming to the lab diagnosis. Ab lab diagnosis में remember कि you need to have two headings. Number one is the non-specific test and number two are the specific test. Non-specific test में आप हमेशा लिखते हो blood examination for eosinophilia, क्योंकि हर parasitic infection में eosinophilia होता है. ठीक है, eosinophils जो हैं वो इसके activate हो जाते तो number of eosinophils rises. So non-specific test आप number one लिखते हो और उसके अंदर आप लिखते हो DLC which is the differential leukocyte count, और उसके अंदर आप लिख देते हो eosinophilia और eosinophils are raised. फिर second आ जाता है आपका specific test. अब specific test is always specific for the particular organism, क्योंकि eosinophilia तो स्कैरस में भी होगा, इंट्रोबियस में भी होगा, मलेरिया में उसमें अमीबा में भी होगा, हर उसमें होगा. ठीक है, but the specific test would be the test for that particular worm. So in case of the Enterobius vermicularis, we are going to carry out the stool examination and a microscopic identification of the material which has been collected in the perianal area. अब इसमें stool examination is not going to be specific. Why? Because these are not present in the gut. ठीक है, so it is not present in the gut. These are present on the perianal skin. So आपने patient से sample जो लेना है वो लेना है perianal area से. So the sample would be the sample would be a specimen taken from the perianal area, and this must be done in the morning before the patient has gone to the washroom, because once they go to the washroom they are going to clean that area, तो जितने भी वहाँ पे eggs वगैरह हैं they are going to be washed away. So the ideal situation is that patient before going to the washroom, washing up, cleaning, the sample should be taken by the parents or who have been instructed, or the child should be taken to the lab for the collection of the sample. और ये test जो है, this is a specific test which is known as the Scotch test or the cellulose tape slide test. अब cellulose tape, और ये आपके जो यहाँ पे नजर आ रहा है, this is the picture which you are going to see under the microscope, और ये मैंने आपको picture पहले दिखा दी थी, ठीक है? ये perianal skin से picture ली गई. Then what we do is that we take a scotch piece of cellophane tape. ये आम scotch tape जो हम utilize करते हैं पेपर पे लगाने के लिए, उसका एक piece जो है that is cut and that is spread, that is pressed over the buttock area of the child. ठीक है, एंड इट इज टच्ड एट 2 or 3 पॉइंट्स ऑन द बटक एरिया. आप 2-3 स्लाइड्स ले लेते हो, ये स्कॉच टेप की ये पीसेस ले लेते हो और उनको एक एक करके आप डिफरेंट एरियाज पे लगाते हो, एंड देन दैट इज पुट डायरेक्टली ऑन टू द ग्लास स्लाइड. वो ग्लास स्लाइड के ऊपर चिपका देते हैं. जब वो ग्लास स्लाइड पे चिपका देते हैं और उसके ऊपर एक कुछ और रखने की जरूरत नहीं, कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं, यू जस्ट आर गोइंग टू स्टिक दैट सेलोफेन टेप विद द स्टिकी पोर्शन डाउन ऑन टू द ग्लास स्लाइड, और उसके बाद आपने उसको माइक्रोस्कोप में देखना है तो माइक्रोस्कोप में आपको ये एग्स नजर आने शुरू हो जाएंगे. It's as simple as that, and this is the diagnostic test for the Enterobius vermicularis. और ये क्वेश्चन बहुत पूछा जाता है वाइवा में, and this is a very simple answer, so try to remember this. ठीक है, so this was about Enterobius vermicularis. Any questions? Enterobius vermicularis common name is pinworm, बहुत common in children. It's a very very common infection, especially in children, worldwide है. Apart from that, man is the definitive host. Cecum and the appendix, they are the habitat of this pinworm, of the the Enterobius. इसका मैंने आप लोग ठीक है, and the life cycle, I've told you if the adult is going to lay the egg, the adult female is going to lay the eggs on the perineal skin. From there it is going to cause itching से बच्चा जो है वो through the fingers it is going to be transmitted to the mouth, and from the mouth it is going to go down into the small intestine and then the large intestine where the adult worms are going to be formed. ठीक है, and diagnosis we've done, it is a specific diagnosis is through the examination of the perianal area for the presence of the egg of Enterobius vermicularis. The second worm which we are going to study is the whipworm or the Trichuris trichura. उसका common name जो है वो Trichuris trichura है, and the disease which it produces is known as trichuriasis. ठीक है, again widespread all over the world, and it is the third commonest worm causing parasitic infections. ठीक है, a third लैब डायग्नोसिस बेटा उसकी क्या कहते हैं Enterobius की lab diagnosis is very simple. You are divided into two parts. Number one is the non-specific test, जिसमें you carry out the DLC or the differential leukocyte count, WBC count. ठीक है, और इसके अंदर आपके eosinophils raised होंगे. Number one part हो गया. Number two part is the specific diagnostic test. Specific diagnostic test is the microscopic examination of a specimen taken from the perianal area for the detection of the eggs of Enterobius vermicularis. ठीक है, ये आपने लाइन लिखनी है, उसके नीचे आपने उसकी लैब डायग्नोसिस लिखनी है थ्रू दी स्कॉच टेस्ट और दी सेल्यूलस टेप टेस्ट. और वो जो मैंने आपको 2 लाइंस एक्सप्लेन की हैं कि आपने स्कॉच टेप का पीस लेना है, उसको बटक के एरिया पे प्रेस करना है. प्रेस करने से चूंकि वो साइड स्टिकी होती है तो जितने एग्स बटक के एरिया पे लगे हुए होंगे वो स्कॉच टेप के साथ चिपक जाएंगे, वो स्टिक कर जाएंगे. एंड वंस दे आर देयर 2-3 पॉइंट्स पे आप उसको प्रेस करते हो, उसके बाद फिर आप उसको आम ग्लास स्लाइड के ऊपर यू जस्ट attach that tape onto the glass slide and then you examine it under the microscope for the presence of those eggs. और जब भी आप लैब डायग्नोसिस इन नेमाटोड्स के लिख रहे हो जिनकी डायग्नोसिस में आपको एग्स जो हैं दे आर द डायग्नोस्टिक क्राइटेरिया, आपने वहां पे एक छोटा सा एग भी बना दोगे तो यू विल गेट एक्स्ट्रा मार्क्स. ठीक है, सो दैट इज द लैब डायग्नोसिस, वेरी सिंपल. Trichuris trichura, which is also known as the whipworm, third commonest worm here, and again it is more common in warm, moist climates, poor sanitation facilities. सारे nematodes का एक ही criteria है. Number one is that they are going to be present worldwide. Number two, they are going to be more common in those areas where you have poor sanitation facilities. Number three, they are going to be more common in areas where they have the high, humidity is high and the temperature is warm. Adults live in the large intestine of man, especially the cecum and appendix. एक आपको मैं क्लू देती हूँ, अगर आप लोग नेमाटोड्स पढ़ने के लिए इफ यू मेक अ चार्ट, एक साइड पे आप इन सब नेमाटोड ओके कनेक्ट हो गया आप सबके लिए, स्लाइड्स नजर आ रही हैं? ओके फाइन, चलो लेट्स गेट बैक. So what I was telling you was that for remembering the nematodes, it's a very simple formula. You just make a table and in the table you put different headings. जैसे distribution है, फिर उसकी prerequisites है कि कौन सी conditions में होता है, फिर habitat है, फिर उसका होस्ट है. तो एट अ ग्लांस आपको ये चीजें याद हो जाएंगी कि कौन कौन से नेमाटोड्स हैं जिनका हैबिटेट एक जैसा है. सो यू वुड नॉट, you would instead of remembering कि जी हाँ एस्कैरिस का हैबिटेट इंटेस्टाइन की सीकम और अपेंडिक्स है, एंट्रोपियस का सीकम और अपेंडिक्स है और किसी और का कुछ और है, you would at one glance know कि सीकम और अपेंडिक्स में 3-4 कौन-कौन से नेमाटोड्स होते हैं. ठीक है, and when somebody is asking you a question then it becomes very easy to answer them at that point. अगर आपने एक-एक वर्म का उस हिसाब से याद किया होगा तो देन इट विल बी डिफिकल्ट टू रिकॉल एट दैट टाइम, और ये ज्यादा इजीली आपको याद हो जाएगा. सो इफ एनीबडी कैन मेक दैट टेबल एंड शेयर इट विद मी, आई कैन सॉर्ट ऑफ प्रूफ रीड और उसमें जो चीजें गलत हैं या जो चीजें ऐड करने वाली हैं वो मैं आपको ऐड करके, तो देन यू कैन हैव अ मास्टर टेबल. ठीक है, so adults of the Trichuris trichura, they again live in the large intestine of man, especially we were talking about the cecum and the appendix. Then infection again occurs through the fecal-oral route, contaminated soil, food and water. Morphology. Now this is why it is known as the whipworm. अगर आप इसकी morphology को देखोगे तो अगर whip आपको everybody knows what is a whip, फिल्मों में बहुत दिखाई जाती है. एवरीबडी नोज व्हाट दैट इज ना, ठीक है, आई डोंट नीड टू एक्सप्लेन. अच्छा, अब विप का एक हैंडल पोर्शन होता है और एक उसका बहुत बारीक सा थ्रेड लाइक पोर्शन होता है. तो सिमिलरली दिस वर्म हैज ए thicker body and then this is the thinner portion. The front or the anterior portion is long and thin. posterior portion that is much thicker. So that is why it is also known as the whipworm. Or again, in case of the male, it is going to be the posterior end of the male is curved. Okay, ये इसका anterior end है और ये इसका posterior end है. Female is going to be much longer as compared to the male. Life cycle. Life cycle is very simple. You have the ingestion of the eggs which contain the embryonated eggs, okay? And this is the larva which is present in them. They are contaminated food, water, they are ingested. They are going to go down into the small intestine. In the small intestine, larvae are going to hatch. The larvae are then going to go into the large intestine, that is the cecum. Or cecum में पहुंच के during this time period they are going to develop, and they are going to develop into the adult worms which are going to go and they are going to now go and reproduce in the, they are going to mate in the large intestine, and once they mate in the large intestine, then the female is going to start laying the eggs. These eggs जो हैं, when they are laid, they are going to pass out in, they are passed out into the feces, and they are going to be passed out into the water or the soil. Characteristic इनकी feature ये है कि they are barrel shaped, and these are the two mucus plugs, and they have, these are the unembryonated eggs जो कि they are passed out into the feces, यानी कि development नहीं हुई. Then this egg is then going to convert into the into the two cell stage, and then it is going to multiply, it is going to reproduce, the cell is going to reproduce and produce in advanced cleavage, and finally there will be the formation of the larva or of the embryonated eggs. So the unembryonated eggs which are passed out into the feces, they are going to be converted into the embryonated eggs in the outside environment, and once they are converted into the embryonated eggs, and if these are ingested, it is going to cause the infection. ये वाली stages जो हैं, they are not going to be infective. ठीक है? Eggs, they are 15 to 25 micrometers in size, and since they are passing out, they can be stained with the bile. And then we have the barrel shaped. ये barrel shape मैंने आपको बताया था कि barrel shaped होती है, जैसे एक बैरल सा होता है, उस तरह की इसकी शेप है. उसके बाद ये दोनों म्यूकस प्लग्स हैं, और उसके अंदर ये अनसेगमेंटेड ओवम. ये you also have a practical of parasitology in your practical exams. उसके अंदर ये जो nematodes के सारे eggs हैं, ये आपको once you are back in the college, we will show all these eggs to you, and you will have a particular, you will have two practicals on this, in which you will be able to see these eggs, and then you will be asked to draw them as well. And बहुत simple सी drawing है, and you need to remember them so that you can put them in the viva, especially जब आपका sorry आप अपने SEQs में इसको ऐड कर सकते हो ड्राइंग्स को. और सेकेंडली ये है कि जब आपका वाइवा होता है और आपका प्रैक्टिकल होता है, तो एक कंपोनेंट आपके प्रैक्टिकल का स्टूल एग्जामिनेशन पे भी होता है. Life cycle, as we've discussed, adult male and female worms live in the large intestine. The humans are infected by ingesting the eggs. The eggs are going to hatch in the small intestine, and they free the larva. This remains there for about 10 days, and then it's going to go into the large intestine after molting 4 times. Now, this is the intestine, the cut section of the intestinal wall. At the anterior end of the worm, that is the thicker portion that gets burrowed into the mucosa of the cecum or the appendix. ठीक है? And the posterior end जो उसका thinner portion होता है, that is present in the lumen. And when it is embedded in that, it is obtaining its nutrition from the intestinal wall. 90 days after infection, the mating has taken place, and then the female starts producing the eggs, and it produces about 3,000 to 20,000 eggs per day. Okay? So you can imagine why this infection is so common in the world and why it spreads so rapidly. And it is difficult to eradicate as well. Then the eggs, they are passed out into the feces. These eggs are not, they are unembryonated, and it takes about 21 days with a proper moisture, with a proper temperature requirements, that these are going to become embryonated, and they will develop a larva within. Coming to the pathology, the worms are going to feed on the intestinal contents, but they rarely feed on the blood. So the worms which are present over there, they are feeding on the intestinal contents. They are feeding on the debris, but they are not feeding. They are not attached to the capillaries, and they are not sucking on the blood. But anemia can develop in these individuals because just area pe they were attached, and once they remove themselves from that area, or they die off from that area, or they move away, they are passed out into the fecal matter. वो area जो है that remains raw, and that can be a site from which the hemorrhages or the bleeding can take place, and this is known as worm trauma. जिस area पे वो worm जाके attach होता है वहां से वो अपनी nutrition तो blood नहीं ले रहा होता, बाकी और nutrients वो it is taking up those nutrients, and once it moves away from that place to go get attached to another place, that area remains open, and from that open area small amounts of blood can ooze, and that over the prolonged time period that can result in anemia. Heavy infections, they are characterized by loss of appetite, then there's nausea, diarrhea, dysentery, abdominal discomfort, rectal prolapse. Rectal prolapse हो सकता है if the worm burden is very very high. Growth retardation इसलिए होगी because nutritional requirements of the child, they are not going to be fulfilled. Diagnosis, again non-specific. Number one is non-specific, जिसमें DLC आती है, differential leukocyte count, and the eosinophilia or the eosinophil count is raised. Then you have the definitive diagnosis. Number two is the definitive diagnosis, and that is carried out through the stool examination. And in the stool, you will see these barrel-shaped eggs in the feces. In the stool, you may also see the adult worms being passed out, or you can also see the Charcot-Leyden crystals, which we discussed in the Entamoeba histolytica. Okay, because they can also because these are not characteristic of Entamoeba histolytica, they can be present in other worm infections. We discussed that at that time. So apart from the eggs, if the worm burden is very high and the worms are being passed out into the fecal matter, they can be seen, and you can also see these crystals. And third is because it is going to be present in the large intestine, and at times you cannot reach a diagnosis through the fecal examination, then you can carry out a sigmoidoscopy, and you can see the picture which we saw over here. Clear? Any questions till this point? Any questions? Okay, let's go to the next parasite, and that is the trichinosis or the Trichinella spiralis, which is caused by Trichinella spiralis. And Trichinella spiralis basically पढ़ाने का मकसद आपको ये है कि it's included in your syllabus. It's not a disease which is prevalent in our country because it spreads through the consumption of poorly cooked pork. Okay, so this is a disease which is worldwide, but in parts of Europe and the United States. And it is the smallest nematode which is going to be amongst these nematodes which we are studying. It's the smallest nematode which infects man. Adult worm is going to be found in the man, in the pig, and in the rats. And it is going to be found in the striated muscle. The larvae are going to be found in the striated muscle. ठीक है, because इसकी life cycle में जो larvae हैं, they go and settle down into the striated muscles or in the striated muscles of the body. So basically ये है disease जो है that is a disease of the pigs and rats, but it can be transmitted to humans who consume the pork. Morphologically adult, it's a whitish thread-like which is just visible to the naked eye, and the anterior end, again it's very pointed, delicate. The posterior end has papillae. Papillae क्या होते हैं? Flaps होते हैं. ठीक है, so you can see two flaps, and this is the identification point of this worm. Again, the female is going to be longer as compared to the male, and it is oviviparous. Oviviparous means that it is going to lay the eggs as well as the larvae. The larvae, they are going to be released in the intestine by the female, and then they are going to enter the circulation. From the circulation, they are going to be carried to various parts of the body, and they are deposited in various organs and tissues, especially and in organs and tissues, and then they are going to get encysted in the striated muscles. In about 3 weeks to 3 months time period. So this is going to be the end stage in case of the life cycle of these larvae in case of man. But in case of pig and rats, the life cycle is going to continue. Now, larvae becomes encysted in the striated voluntary muscles like that of the diaphragm, intercostals, pectoralis major, deltoid biceps, and these larvae, they are going to be infective to the other host. So in case of man, the infection occurs because of the ingestion of undercooked larvae containing striated muscle. So any meat from the pig which is not properly cooked and which has the larvae in it can be a source of infection in man. So when the man ingests such a raw or undercooked pork which has the larvae, they are going to get digested out of the muscle in the intestines during the process of digestion. And when they are freed, then they develop into the adult worms in 24 to 48 hours. After that, they are going to go into the circulation and they can uh, get deposited in various organs of the body. अब क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? हो ये रहा है कि basically the cycle is in the rodents as well as in the pigs. Over here, what you are having is that ingestion of the meat scraps of animals which contain these larvae. These larvae, when this pig is going to eat it, they are going to go into the intestines, and in the intestines they are going to be releasing these muscles. They are going to be digested, and they are going to be released. The larvae are going to be released in the small intestine. Then in 21 days or so, they are going to develop into the adult males and females. Mating will take place. Then they will produce the larva form, and these larval forms, they are going to enter the circulation. From the circulation, they are going to go into the striated muscles, and in the striated muscles, they will become covered by a cyst, and this would be the end stage of the cycle in case of the humans. But in case of the pigs and the rats, these larval forms which are present in the striated muscles, and these animals, they are going to die off. These are going to be eaten by the pig or by the rats, and when this meat is consumed, this life cycle is going to continue in their in them. So in these, the life cycle is sustained, whereas in this case it is the end point in the life cycle of human beings. And I'm telling you repeatedly, it occurs only in those areas of the world where pork is being consumed. Severity is related to the number of larvae which are ingested, and there are three phases. Number one is the intestinal invasion phase, in which the adult females penetrate the mucosa of the small intestine, causing edema and inflammation of the mucosa, and this is going to result in nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. Then, once this phase has passed away, these larval forms are going to be produced, and the larval forms, they are going to go and invade the muscles, and this muscle invasion phase is going to result in various symptoms. It could be high fever, blurred vision, facial edema, depending on the site where they are going to be going and getting deposited. Eosinophilia is present in 18 to 18% of the cases, and in case of and there will be edema as well, especially of the diaphragm, the tongue, the face, the limbs. As I've told you, all the muscles which are going to be involved, the symptoms are going to be present according to those involvement areas. Then third is the encystment phase. Once it reaches the muscles, then it is going to get the larval forms, they are going to be enclosed in a cyst, and the damage is going to be repaired. When the larva is going to penetrate the muscle fibers, at that point there will be intense muscular pain if it is in the lungs, if it is in the area where the lungs are present, in those muscles where the lungs are present, then there will be difficulty in breathing, there will be difficulty in swallowing, there can be heart damage, and as a result of these muscles being involved over a time period, heart failure can also occur. Diagnosis, again non-specific, is the DLC, which shows a marked eosinophilia, and specific examination is the X-ray examination, where you suspect that these calcified cysts may be present. You carry out the X-ray examination and the calcium, because the covering is made up of calcium. So these calcified cysts can be seen in the muscles, and you can go to the diagnosis. Then they can be increased level of certain muscle enzymes like the aldolase enzyme, lactate dehydrogenase, and creatine phosphokinase. Because as we've discussed the life cycle, you should remember that it doesn't produce any eggs which pass out into the feces. So we cannot carry out a stool examination, and this is a biggest mistake which you students make, because since you know that the nematodes, they are producing the eggs, they are passing out into the fecal matter, you automatically start writing that thing in each and every diagnosis, but it does not apply everywhere. So please remember the organism you are discussing, and accordingly write down the diagnosis. Then you can carry out a muscle biopsy, and this muscle biopsy is going to be positive after fourth week of infection. What you do is that you take a piece of the muscle from in which there is extreme pain, or the patient is complaining of symptoms in particular muscles, and a small piece is taken from that muscle. It is digested and examined under the microscope for the presence of these larval forms. And this is what you see when you carry out a biopsy, and these are the various this is the in the muscle, this is the larva of the trachinella spirals. Over here you have a larva of the in the muscle section. Then a skin test can also be carried out, which is, since basically it is an allergic test, and it's an allergic phenomena. So this it's a specific antigen for this, which is known as the Bachmann's antigen. Then a serological test, because why serological tests are being carried out in this nematode infection, but they did not occur in the others? Anybody? Anyone would like to answer? Okay, why are we carrying out serological test in this nematode infection, but did not carry out the serological test in others, or they were not of any significance over there? Yes, it invades the muscles, therefore it produces an immune response. It is going into the tissues, it's invading the tissues, and therefore it's eliciting an immune response. So we have the serological test, complement fixation test, indirect fluorescent antibody test, and we can also detect the larvae in the blood in the CSF. But this is very rare, as the time period for which these larvae are present in the blood in the CSF, it's going to be very short lived. So this is rarely going to be positive, but the other test will give you an idea about the diagnosis of this nematode infection. Next we go on to Strongyloides stercoralis. एक तो इनके जो है ना parasites के नाम, they are a bit difficult, and you need to remember them, और उनको remember करने का एक आराम सा और एक आसान सा तरीका, instead of remembering the whole word, break it up. अब Strongyloides जो है, उसमें पहला word आता है strong, y लोइडीज, तो स्ट्रोंगीलोइडीज, ठीक है। स्टरकोरालिस, इसको ब्रेकअप करके आप याद करोगे तो इट वुड बिकम वेरी इजी टू रिमेंबर देयर नेम्स। वैसे याद करने की कोशिश करोगे तो नहीं याद होंगे। Strongyloidiasis is the causative is the disease produced by the parasitic worm, which is a nematode, which is the Strongyloides stercoralis. It is also known as the dwarf worm or the threadworm. Worldwide, especially in warm, humid areas, tropics, subtropics, warm, moist climates, Eastern Europe, Mediterranean region, 1% of the world population is infected. It is not as common as or the other worms which we have studied, but it again affects a huge percentage of the world population. Habitat: the adult fertilized female lies buried under the mucosa of the small intestine, that is in the duodenum and the jejunum, and this is a nematode which is not transmitted by the oral route. The infection is acquired by skin contact with contaminated soil. So the larval form, which is going to be the infective form, that is going to be present in the soil, and when a person is walking barefoot, the larva can penetrate they can penetrate the skin, and it can go into that individual, and then it can travel, and it can go to the intestines, and it can produce a disease. Definitive host again is man. So you need to remember which is the infective form of the parasite and which is the diagnostic form. Adult worm is the smallest pathogenic nematodes. एक दूसरा आपको मैंने बताया था Trichinellus paralis is also very small, and this is also very small. Adult females, they are 2 to 3 millimeters in length, and the posterior end is pointed. In case this is the posterior end and this is the anterior end, और इसके अंदर इसका एक uterine cavity होती है जिसके अंदर इसके eggs होते हैं, ठीक है. And the male is smaller or shorter, and females are oviviviparous, that is they both lay both the larva as well as the ova, and they are going to be found in the crypts or the folds of the small intestine. Eggs, they are going to be arranged anteroposteriorly in a single row in the uterus. So over here you can see this picture, and these are the eggs in the uterus, and they are going to be arranged in a, sorry, this over here are the eggs, and they are arranged in the uterus in a single file, and they get 5 to 10 in number, and this is happening all in the epithelium of the small intestine. Once these eggs, they are going to hatch, they are going to be laid over there, then they are going to be hatching over there, and then they are going to convert into the larva form, and this larval form in case of Strongyloides stercoralis is given a name which is known as the rhabditoid larva, and this is the L1 larva, or the first larva which is going to be produced, and this is produced within the epithelium of the small intestine. It is oval. The eggs, they are going to be oval, transparent, and larvae rather than the eggs are therefore going to be found in the feces. The only thing which you need to remember over here is that this worm is going to embed itself in the mucosa of the small intestine within the epithelium. It is going to lay the eggs in the epithelium of the small intestine. These eggs are going to hatch at that particular place, and they are going to produce the first larva which is known as L1 and is called the rhabditiform larva. This is then going to come into the lumen. So in the eggs, in the fecal matter, you will not find the eggs, you will find the larval forms. And there are two types of larva. Number one is the rhabditiform larva, and number two is the filariform larva. Rhabditiform larva is smaller, and the filariform larva is larger. And the rhabditiform larva is the first larva to be formed, whereas the filariform larva forms later. Okay, and this filariform larva is the infective form of the larva, whereas the rhabditiform is not. So we have two types of larva, rhabditiform and the filariform larva. Rhabditiform larva comes out into the lumen, and it is going to convert into the filariform larva directly. And this conversion directly into the filariform larva is going to, these then filariform larvae are going to penetrate the intestinal epithelium and causing an internal reinfection. Second pathway is that the filariform larvae, they are going to be passed out into the feces. Some of them, they will penetrate the perianal area, and they are going to reinfect that individual, and this is known as autoinfection. Those which are passed out into the feces, they are going to develop in further in the soil. In the soil, two types of cycles take place, a direct cycle and an indirect cycle. The direct cycle being rhabditiform larva in 3 to 4 days is going to develop into the filariform larva, and there is no sexual phase in that, and you have one rhabditiform larva converting into one filariform larva. Indirect cycle may 24 to 38 hours may they produce a generation of male and females. This is going to mate and this is going to produce a second batch of rhabditiform larvae, which in 3 to 4 days are going to produce the filariform larvae. Indirect cycle का फायदा क्या है? Indirect cycle का फायदा ये है कि one rhabditiform larva is going to result in 30 filariform larvae, whereas in case of the direct cycle, one rhabditiform larva is going to result in one filariform larvae. और इसमें conversion rhabditiform से filariform में, why is it essential? It is essential because the filariform larva is the infective form. Rhabditiform larva infection नहीं produce कर सकता. Clear? We will go ahead next time. Any questions? We'll discuss the rest next time. Any questions if you have? Okay, take care all of you. Stay safe. Inshallah, next week मुलाकात होती है. Take care all of you. Allah Hafiz and welcome all of you. Welcome. Please post questions on the Facebook forum if you don't understand anything. जो चीज़ आपको revision चाहिए, जो चीज़ भी आपको explanation चाहिए, post it on the Facebook page. I'll definitely answer you over there. ठीक है? And at the earliest, if I'll try to answer at the earliest. Thank you.